There are people in this world who walk among us wearing smiles that seem warm, words that sound kind, and gestures that appear generous. But beneath that surface lies something darker, something that thrives on control, deceit, and destruction. Evil doesn't always announce itself with anger or violence. Sometimes it hides behind charm, empathy, and manipulation. And if you're not aware, you can be pulled into its web without even realizing it. The first sign you're dealing with an evil person is how they twist truth into a weapon. They are masters of manipulation. They take your words, your emotions, your past, and reshape them into tools for control. You'll begin to question your own reality, your memory, even your sanity. They make you feel like you're always wrong, always the one to blame. Their lies are so polished that even honesty begins to sound suspicious in your own ears. The second sign is their addiction to power. Evil people don't just want attention, they crave domination. They enjoy seeing others in pain or confusion because it makes them feel strong. They use silence as punishment, affection as bait, and guilt as chains. Every interaction becomes a power play, and the more you bend, the more they break you. The third sign is their absence of empathy. They can mimic compassion, but it's hollow. They'll say the right words, but you'll feel the emptiness behind them. They can watch someone cry and feel nothing. They can hurt someone deeply and justify it with ease. They see vulnerability not as something to protect, but something to exploit. The fourth sign is how they thrive on chaos. They create drama, confusion, and conflict wherever they go because it feeds their sense of control. They divide people, spread rumors, and turn allies into enemies. Peace makes them restless. Destruction makes them feel alive. You'll notice that after every storm, they surse. Ours, they play the victim, calm, collected, and convincing. The fifth sign is their refusal to change. Evil doesn't reflect, it deflects. They don't apologize sincerely because they don't believe they've done wrong. They'll cry if it gets them what they want, but those tears are strategy, not sorrow. They repeat the same toxic patterns, moving from one person to the next, leaving behind confusion, pain, and broken trust. When you recognize these signs, your power returns. The key is not to fight them, it's to see them clearly and walk away. Evil feeds on reaction, on your energy, on your attempts to reason with it. You can't heal what refuses to be human. You can only protect your light by stepping out of their shadow. And when you do, something beautiful happens. You begin to heal. You realize that goodness doesn't need to prove itself, that truth doesn't need to shout, and that love, real love, never manipulates. The moment you stop giving power to those who thrive on darkness, you reclaim your peace, your strength, and your soul. They twist the truth until it no longer resembles reality. That's their greatest power. Evil people know that truth has strength, so they reshape it, disguise it, and use it as a weapon. At first, it's subtle, a small white lie, a half-truth that seems harmless, but slowly it grows. They start distorting facts, changing stories, and rewriting events. They'll tell you something one day and deny it the next, making you question your memory, your judgment, even your sanity. They make you feel like you're the one who's confused, the one who's misremembering, when in reality, they are carefully crafting chaos. They thrive on manipulation because it gives them control. Their lies aren't random, they're calculated. They study you, learn what you believe, what you fear, what you want most. And then they twist those truths into traps. If you confide your weakness, they'll use it against you. If you reveal your dreams, they'll find a way to poison them. The more you try to prove yourself right, the more trapped you become in their game. Because with them, logic doesn't matter. Evidence doesn't matter. Only control does. What makes their deception so dangerous is how convincing it is. They look you in the eye and tell you what you want to hear. They sound so sincere, so grounded, that you begin to doubt your instincts. They use charm as camouflage, and when you start catching on, they play the victim. Suddenly you're the unfair one, the overreacting one, the cold one. They twist the story so well that others may even side with them, leaving you isolated and doubting yourself even more. Evil people twist truth not because they misunderstand it, but because they understand it too well. They know that people crave honesty and connection, and they use that desire as a tool. Their lies are not always loud. They're often whispered, woven into kindness, delivered with a smile. That's why they're so hard to spot. By the time you realize what's happening, they've already rewritten your reality. The only way to see clearly again is to step back, breathe, and trust the truth you feel deep inside, the one they've tried so hard to bury. They crave power and control over everything and everyone around them. It's not about love, connection, or mutual respect. It's about dominance. Evil people feed on the feeling of superiority. They want to be the ones deciding how you feel, what you think, and even how you see yourself. They manipulate every situation to ensure they remain in control. You'll notice how every conversation somehow circles back to them, how every disagreement becomes your fault, and how your emotions seem to revolve around their moods. They drain your confidence quietly, not with force, but with subtle, constant reminders that they hold the power. They use many tools to maintain that control. Guilt is one of their favorites. They'll make you feel responsible for their unhappiness as if their pain is your failure. Silence is another weapon. They withdraw affection or attention to punish you until you bend. Sometimes they'll use charm and affection as bait, giving you moments of warmth just to pull it away again. This creates a cycle of emotional dependency where you start craving their approval, desperate to earn their kindness back. But that's the trap. It keeps you hooked, always trying to please them, always trying to fix what they deliberately break. What's more chilling is how calculated they are. They know exactly when to push, when to praise, when to act like they care. They study your emotions like a game, learning how to press every button. They don't want equality, they want submission. When you begin to stand up for yourself, they'll twist it as defiance or betrayal. They'll make you feel guilty for wanting freedom, as if you've done something wrong by reclaiming your own strength. The need for control runs so deep in them that even when they appear calm or indifferent, they're still calculating. They observe, waiting for a chance to pull the strings again. And if you try to confront them, they'll turn the narrative around until you're defending yourself for things you didn't even do. That's the essence of their power. Not physical dominance, but psychological control. They own your emotions by making you believe that peace only exists when they allow it. And in their world, that's how they win, by keeping you small, silent, and uncertain while they stand tall on the ruins of your confidence. They lack empathy in a way that feels almost unreal. You can pour your heart out in front of them and they'll watch you cry without even flinching. They might offer words that sound comforting, but there's no warmth behind them, only calculation. They study your emotions, not to understand or care, but to use them later. When you're happy, they'll find ways to dull your light. When you're hurting, they'll find a way to make it about themselves. They see emotions not as a connection, but as a weakness, something to exploit to keep you under control. You'll notice that when someone else is in pain, they respond with cold logic instead of compassion. They'll say, "You're overreacting," or "You're too sensitive," or "You should just get over it." Their lack of empathy isn't always loud. It's in the small ways they dismiss others, the way they avoid accountability, the way they find amusement in someone's struggle. Deep down, they don't feel the guilt or remorse that keeps most people human. They can hurt someone deeply and sleep peacefully afterward because they convince themselves that they were justified. Their emotional emptiness makes them dangerous because it allows them to fake sincerity so well. They can imitate kindness when it benefits them, mirror your tone, mimic your values, and act caring just long enough to gain your trust. But it's all performance, a well-rehearsed act designed to make you let your guard down. The moment they have what they want, their mask slips. You see the indifference in their eyes, the lack of any real connection, and it hits you that the person you thought cared for you was never truly there. And when they hurt you, they won't feel remorse. They'll feel satisfaction. Your pain gives them proof that they still have control. They may even turn your emotions against you, saying things like, "See how crazy you sound," or "You always make everything about yourself." They twist empathy into manipulation and convince you that caring is a weakness, but it's not. It's your greatest strength. Their inability to feel it doesn't make them powerful. It exposes the emptiness within them. Evil people may wear the mask of empathy, but when the moment comes to show real compassion, all that remains is silence, cold, hollow, and heartless. They thrive on chaos because peace exposes their emptiness. When life is calm, when relationships are stable, when everyone is at ease, they feel irrelevant. So they create storms to feel powerful again. They provoke conflict, whisper lies, spread rumors, and plant seeds of doubt. They know exactly how to twist one person's words to turn another against them. They enjoy seeing people argue because it keeps them at the center of attention. Chaos is their comfort zone. It gives them energy, excitement, and control. Without it, they lose the spotlight they crave. You'll notice that just when things start to settle, they'll do or say something to ignite drama. It could be a small comment meant to stir tension or a deliberate misunderstanding meant to cause confusion. They pretend to hate conflict, but deep down, they love the control it gives them. In every argument, they position themselves as the misunderstood victim or the innocent observer. They'll never take responsibility for the chaos they cause. Instead, they'll stand back and watch others tear each other apart while pretending to mediate. It's a game to them, one they've mastered through manipulation and deceit. Evil people use chaos as camouflage. As long as everyone else is distracted by the noise, no one can see their true nature. They thrive in emotional clutter because it keeps others off balance, always reacting instead of reflecting. They'll deny things they clearly said, bring up the past when it benefits them, and change the subject when truth gets too close. Their goal isn't resolution, it's control through confusion. They want people too tired, too angry, and too drained to question their motives. In relationships, their chaos feels like a roller coaster, intense highs followed by devastating lows. They'll create tension, apologize just enough to keep you hooked, then do it all over again. This constant instability keeps you emotionally dependent on them. You start waiting for the good days, hoping they'll come back, but those good days are part of the manipulation, a temporary calm before the next storm. Chaos isn't accidental for them, it's intentional. It's the stage where they perform best, feeding on the pain, fear, and confusion they create, because deep down, they know one truth. As long as everyone else is falling apart, they're the only ones standing tall. They never take responsibility for what they do because accountability threatens the false image they've built. Evil people live in denial, not the innocent kind, but the deliberate, destructive kind that bends truth to protect their ego. When they hurt someone, they don't apologize sincerely. Instead, they deflect, twist, and project. They'll say, "You're too sensitive," or "You misunderstood me," or "You made me do it." Every excuse they give is designed to shift blame away from themselves and onto someone else. Admitting fault would mean acknowledging their darkness, and that's something they can't bear to face. They see apologies not as a way to heal, but as tools for manipulation. When they say sorry, it's never to make amends, it's to regain control. It's to make you drop your guard again, to make you believe change is coming. But soon, the same toxic patterns return because they never truly intend to change. They repeat their actions over and over, each time more calculated, more refined. It's not that they don't understand what they're doing, it's that they don't care. Accountability would demand empathy, self-reflection, and humility, and those are qualities they simply don't possess. When confronted, they twist the situation until you begin questioning your own perception. They'll turn the spotlight around and make you feel guilty for even speaking up. If you tell them they hurt you, they'll say you're attacking them. If you try to explain your feelings, they'll accuse you of being dramatic. This emotional inversion keeps you confused and silent while they continue their behavior without consequence. It's how they protect their power, by making others afraid to hold them accountable. Even when evidence is undeniable, they'll still find ways to justify themselves. They'll blame their past, their stress, or your reaction. Anything but the truth. They rewrite the story in their favor so many times that after a while they start believing their own lies. That's the core of their evil. They hide behind denial so effectively that it becomes part of their identity. They walk through life convinced that they're the victim, even as they destroy others. And because they refuse to look inward, they never grow, never change, never evolve. Their refusal to take responsibility isn't just avoidance, it's the mask that keeps their darkness alive, untouched and unchallenged. Evil doesn't always come with a warning label. It often walks in quietly, disguised as charm, affection, or friendship. It manipulates truth, craves control, lacks empathy, thrives on chaos, and refuses accountability. Those are the fingerprints of darkness, the signs that someone is not simply broken or lost, but deliberately destructive. And when you see those signs, you must trust yourself enough to walk away, even if it means walking alone. The most dangerous thing an evil person can take from you is not your peace, it's your perception of yourself. They want you to believe you're powerless, confused, and unworthy. But the truth is, the moment you recognize what they are, their power begins to crumble. Awareness is your shield, distance is your freedom, and healing is your victory. You can't change an evil heart, but you can protect your own. You can draw boundaries that no manipulation can cross. You can reclaim your truth, your confidence, and your calm. You can rise from the wreckage they tried to leave you in and build a life rooted in peace, integrity, and light. So when you meet someone who twists your truth, plays with your mind, and drains your spirit, don't try to fix them. Don't try to understand them. Walk away. Protect your energy. Preserve your soul, because your kindness is not weakness and your empathy is not a flaw. They are your greatest strengths, and the world needs more of them. Unbroken, unshaken, and untamed. Let this be your reminder. Evil cannot survive in the presence of truth. So keep standing in yours. Speak it. Live it, protect it, because when you choose truth over manipulation, love over control, and peace over chaos, you do more than survive. You win.